Hey guys, it's Pure and Ice Cream Bar. It's really cold in my apartment, so there's no doll today because I am afraid I will be a-shaking and a-shivering and drop somebody. So this is my first character video for Herbert West, which is kind of weird because he's already a character, so it's like, what do I talk about? It's kind of weird talking about a character, like my version of a character that already exists. It's like reading your fanfiction out loud. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, I've never written fanfiction because, but, you know, when I do write it, I write it for me. It's not for all y'all ears and eyes to be looking all up on it. So this is new territory for me. New beginnings. Maybe after this, I will sit down and read you some Harry Potter and Batman fanfics. How about that? That'd be really good and fun. I guess I'm going to start by reading some quotes from the original story, which really helped kind of define the character for me, really helped me figure out how I wanted the character to interact with people, to be perceived by people as. So let's do that. West was then a small, slender, spectacled youth with delicate features, yellow hair, pale blue eyes, and a soft voice. In college and during our early practice, my attitude toward him had been largely one of fascinated admiration. Gradually, I came to find Herbert West himself more horrible than anything he did. Dangers he met unflinchingly, crimes he committed unmoved. I was held to him by sheer force of fear. He worked like a butcher in the midst of his gory wares. West, in reality, was more afraid than I, for his abominable pursuits entailed a life of furtiveness and dread of every shadow. Outwardly, he was the same to the last, calm, cold, slight, and a general aspect of youth which years and fears seem to never change. And finally, in the last scene of the book, the blue eyes behind the spectacles were hideously blazing with their first touch of frantic, visible emotion. Just to be clear, this story is written from the perspective of Herbert West's assistant, but I don't want to really say more about the story than that in case you haven't read it already and would like to. I really loved Lovecraft's descriptions of the character. I mean, he's such a villain, but the story is told from the perspective of someone who admires him, someone who is strangely devoted to him. So what could be a very one-dimensional character becomes a lot more because you get to see it through the eyes of somebody who has, you know, kind of cares for this person. You see his brilliance, but you see horrible emotional abuse going on, and it's awful, but it's wonderful. Though I love the later movie in the 80s, those qualities that make this man dangerous, this man that is apparently so slight and so soft-spoken, they're really missing those qualities, that kind of subtle manipulation. In the movie, it's over the top, it's craziness, it's fun, but you really miss a lot of what makes that character frightening. And that makes his reveal at the end, his final, like, actual emotion at the end of the story, it's kind of his redemption scene. It's like, actually, after all this time, he was actually a human. It's really good. It's really good. And so, when I decided to start making this story based off of Lovecraft characters, that's what I was thinking of. I wanted to redeem some of his flawed characters who paid for their hubris with often terrible death. Herbert was not the first character that I thought of. He became a really important one and also a really fun one, mostly because his story is so much longer than the other characters that I got inspiration from. So this project of mine I called Emergency Response, which I think I have mentioned before, and it was going to be kind of inspired by the original story, but also a little bit of the feel of the 80s movie, just to throw some of that weirdness in there, to get some of that sass that's in the, in the movie. So borrowing from the story, as well as a little bit from the movie, I kind of felt like I already knew exactly what I wanted Herbert to be, character-wise. It's a little difficult to talk about him without talking about the entire setup of what Emergency Response was/is supposed to be. And I'm just not so sure how much I want to get into it. Suffice to say that Herbert is still a dangerous man. Anyway, if anyone wants to hear more about Emergency Response, I guess I would be happy to talk about it. It's not incredibly doll-related, except for Herbert. Otherwise, I'm going to move right along and talk about some other stuff in regards to Herbert, and that'll be the entire symphony, ladies and gentlemen. Because as I said, you don't need me to explain this character to you. You can just read a book. Books! Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!